You might think that London has its fair share of co-working spaces, but James Layfield, Chief Executive of Central Working, is here today to tell us why Central Working is so much more than that. Welcome to Tech Sessions. I'm with James Layfield. He's the CEO of Central Working. What's Central Working?
So Central Working is hopefully a beautiful idea to help people grow their businesses. The idea is create a club, very old-fashioned, get people to talk to each other and get them to help each other to grow their businesses.
So it's not just co-working, it's not just a shared office space where people, pay for a hot desk or something?
No, I suppose we think that to grow your business, you really need to connect with people. So we've got people like, say, Rovio, the people behind Angry Birds, they're members, and we're connecting them with people. We've got people who are, I suppose, creating new apps, new businesses, and we bring them together, find out what their needs are, and then hook them up with people, but without taking equity. We just say, join the club, and we'll help you grow.
Not exclusively the tech industry then?
I suppose we see that business in general is so much broader than just tech. And that's
tech is everything now, isn't it?
Our tech. So you might be making shoes, but you'll have an amazing website. We've got a brilliant business called Troubadour, making beautiful bags, but it's an e-commerce business. We've got a business called Hot Bikram Yoga, which is about selling effectively yoga classes, but again, it's all about online transactions.
Okay, everything is tech then?
It seems that way.
So are you just in London at the moment? Or?
Right now, we've got 3 clubs in London, but we are expanding to Dubai, to Singapore, to Warsaw, to Moscow, and Manchester.
And how can you expand to all these places? Are you charging extortionate membership fees?
Well, there's such a lovely opportunity to create a community, and it's something that if you create your own business, you find straight away that you need this service. That we're finding there's just demand. People are pulling us into these countries. People are asking us to come and set up. Communities are coming together. So people from Bristol are saying, can you come and set up in Bristol? People from Manchester are saying, come and set up in Manchester. And so we're being drawn to these markets.
How are you different to, say, Tech Hub, which has been running very successfully at Old Street Roundabout for quite a while now and doing a very similar thing in supporting businesses and connecting those entrepreneurs to an existing network of people?
I suppose we see our biggest differentiator, a few things. One is that we design and build our environments to be really lovely spaces that you can feel at home in. So every single thing you see, we've designed and built. So you can't buy any of the furniture, none of it's off the shelf. It's all created to encourage collaboration. And we think that's such an important part of what we offer, that we really facilitate that through the space and through our team. Secondly, we're not specifically about tech startups. We're about business and business growth. And so we are really encouraging anyone in business to work in a new way. In fact, we think this way of working will be the way that everyone will work in the future, be that a big business like Barclays or the NHS or a small startup. Everyone is going to start working in this way. So it's a fundamental shift in the way that people are working.
Well, how do you physically design a space to encourage collaboration?
So if you go down to your local fancy furniture shop, you'll find furniture that's fairly bulky and sort of is about dividing and separating. Our furniture is designed to bring people closer together and encourage people to start to talk. So for example, we've got this wonderful collaboration table which enables 6 people to sit completely separately or completely together depending on how they want to work.
The government should arguably be doing what you're doing, shouldn't it?
I think it's the opportunity for, and it's the role of business to do this sort of stuff. We will work with governments, we'll work with businesses, we'll work with private individuals to enable this to happen. But if the government start to do it, the government aren't necessarily great at doing many things. They're definitely not great at running businesses. And I think it's quite a dangerous thing if you let them get too close to enabling business and commerce.
What's in your background then that kind of led you to this point?
So, insane levels of frustration. I'm an entrepreneur. This is my 5th business. So I know the pain of starting a business. I know the pain of going to £1 million. I know the pain of employing 40, 50, 60 people. It's not easy, and there's a really, I suppose, as I said, it's a lot of old-fashioned thinking. The idea of it's lonely at the top is never more true than when you're an entrepreneur and you're doing it yourself. So I know that you need that support network, which is why we built it. I also know from doing my business, I've run businesses from cafes, from coffee shops, from around the world. It's a pain in the bum to do it. It's actually hard. If you're sat in a coffee shop, you've got all the background noise of the coffee going on, and you can't really work. If you're in a hotel lobby, it's not the best place to have a meeting. If you're in a Starbucks, you maybe want to go to the bathroom, that is a nightmare. Suddenly your office is destroyed.
You're destroying the myth that is Shoreditch and coffee shop working. Does it say something about the maturity of the tech space. In London at the moment, you've got 3 offices in London, haven't you?
Yeah.
Or 3 bases in London.
Yeah.
Does it say something about the maturity of this space, of the startup space, that you feel now is the right time for central working?
Absolutely. I think this whole market, this new way of working has exploded. And I think it's fundamentally driven by cloud. So cloud has enabled anyone to create a very low-cost entry into business effectively. You can have a fundamentally brilliant global business and be based out of anywhere, and you can have a team that's based out of anywhere. And so that massive shift has enabled businesses like ours to exist. And that's why I think this is the way the world is going to go. Businesses are now forming from 2 or 3 people that are suddenly becoming global businesses or becoming overnight successes. And they need lots of things. They need flexibility because they're growing at such a pace. They can't suddenly get an old-fashioned rental model where you go to a landlord and sign up for 5 years on a space for 20 people. Is not useful in an economy where your business could be triple that size in 10 weeks. And so that's why businesses like ours are so useful. They enable you to start your business straight away and get from, I suppose, 0 to hero very, very, very quickly.
Where have you looked beyond, apart from Silicon Valley, which other clusters have you looked to inform what you're doing?
So we spent 4 years before we started our business. So we spent a lot of time around the world. We went to all over the US, not just Silicon Valley, but New York, Chicago. We looked also to China. We looked across Europe, and we just found the market was lacking. And what you're seeing now is a proliferation of businesses sort of following in the footsteps of businesses like ours, as people realize the need for this product is overwhelming.
Beyond central working, then, what's exciting? What really kind of gets you out of bed in the morning or makes you think, I want to be a better entrepreneur?
I think changing the world a little bit, a tiny little bit, is the thing that excites me. So we're trying to work right now with government and banks to change the way that banks engage. One of my biggest frustrations is also potentially one of the most exciting things I'm working on, which is if you are a startup in the UK right now, there's 2 things that are horrifically shocking. One, you cannot open a bank account. It's nearly impossible. Even we walked into a branch of HSBC, Barclays, NatWest with £500,000 in cash, and none of them could open an account in less than 8 weeks. That's embarrassing. It's shambolic. Secondly, if you're a startup, if you've been trading for a couple of years, you can't get an overdraft. You have a conversation and say to the bank, we need a little overdraft, and they'll say to you, have you got any money? If you've got £50,000, we will give you a £50,000 overdraft. What sort of crazy world is it, where if you've got the money, they'll lend you the money? So there's those sort of things that are so frustrating for me right now that I'm working to try and change. So we sat down with some guys from Whitehall recently, had a really engaging conversation about you've got to change the way this banking system works. You've got to change the rules and regulations about setting up a bank, about money laundering, need to evolve to enable people to start businesses. And the way that they lend money, I think it's just crazy. It doesn't make any sense. It's so old-fashioned. It should be about humanity. It should be about people. I should be able to walk into a branch like I used to be able to do 100 years ago and say to you, I need a loan. And you'll say, I know James, I trust James, I'll lend you money. And right now, the computer says no mentality is so abundant and so horrific, it needs to be scrapped and people
Well,
need
it
to
sounds
move on.
like you should be lobbying government. This time in not even 5 years, this time in 2 years, where is central working going to be?
So in 2 years' time, we will have 35 clubs across the UK and internationally.
Great. Well, watch this space, and we'll come back to you in 2 years and see if you've got to the magic 35 number.
Can't
Really
wait.
interesting. Thanks very much, James.
Thank you.
Cheers.